Re-Professionalization of our teachers. I don't know if that's a real word. I probably stole it from somewhere. It doesn't stop me from using it as regularly as possible. To talk about re-professionalization, that indicates that at some point we were deprofessionalized. And let's face it, we're all here today because we are looking for ways to engage our teachers. So in order for you to understand why this is my passion, I need to walk you through the evolution of an argument between a father and a daughter. And by father, I mean my father. And by daughter, I mean me. Now, my dad is very smart. He is more than just opinionated, he is informed, and he loves to debate. He passed that along to me. So one day we got engaged in what he would call a discussion about public education and all of the problems that he saw in public education and what was wrong with teachers, as though he was not in fact speaking to a public educator. I was incredulous. I listed all of the teachers I knew, the books I had read, the professional development that I had been a part of. And then my dad held up his hand, which we all know is the universal sign of, I'm going to end this argument right now. And he said, you think that way because you are the exception. You are not the rule. And I was floored. Did he not just hear what I said? I knew tons of exceptional teachers. Well, within a couple of months, I got this position. And I arrived at the moment that really no child, especially not a daughter who was arguing with her father, wants to arrive at. And that is, my dad was right. In our jobs, we get to see the best in our profession. But let's face it, we also get a chance to see the worst. But I wasn't going to let that get me down because I began to realize this isn't really their fault completely. We talked about how in a recession, professional development went away. It wasn't a priority, that you were getting more work with less compensation. So in my job, I had to do something, but I couldn't control those factors. I did not know what was going to happen. The city could burn down around me. I had to do everything that I could to elevate social studies. So I did what any good teacher would do when trying to prepare a lesson. I began searching for inspiration. And so I began looking through things like Google, popular culture. I eventually landed on some movies, which I absolutely love. And there are a lot out there. Denzel, he had some great points in Remember the Titans. And then there was that speech in Independence Day, which was really awesome, but aliens weren't attacking us. Try as I may, I could not pull off that look. I didn't have the legs. And I had some really great Spartan cheers, but Tony would not spot me, so that wasn't going to work for us. So I began to think about, well, what about team sports? You know, that's that team, everyone together mentality. And hey, isn't that a good-looking girl right there? I had experience as an athlete. I played field hockey and lacrosse for 4 years in high school. And I didn't just play these sports, I was actually captain of both of these teams. Maybe I could take that team mentality to my teachers. But you know, there was a problem with that. I began to realize after about 18 years or so of tripping over my own 2 feet, realizing that maybe it was not my athleticism that they picked me to be their captain, and so maybe that wasn't going to be the best effect for me. I had to think of something else. What is it? Why would you look for a leader if they were not, you know, the best goalie, or they didn't have these skills, you know, as a player? And I possessed one really awesome skill, and that was I had an amazing ability to psych my friends up using the power of music. Yep, I made awesome mixtapes. Now, I don't know why, but there was something about It's Raining Men that really jacked up my field hockey players. And so I realized that's what I could do in this job. I could be a living, breathing mixtape. I could come in there and I could energize the snot out of all of these teachers. I could be like Mickey in Rocky, who was amazing. I didn't hear no bell. I could take an underdog and I can make them feel victorious again because they had greatness in them. They just needed somebody to recognize that and to bring that out in them. So I began to look for more inspiration. And so I looked into the TED Talks, and I realized that it was not that I was exceptional. It was that I had done exactly what my dad said. I surrounded myself by exceptional people. I knew what it was like to be treated like a professional. I knew what it was like to be provided books and materials and lectures. I knew what it was like to get longer than a 30-minute lunch, and it was good. And so I needed to do the exact same thing for my team of teachers, for my babies, that they were now my students. So I started to look for my inner Tony Robbins, and I stumbled across a TED Talk by Simon Sinek. Has anybody ever heard of him? Okay, there he is. Isn't he a good-looking guy? Well, he came up with the golden circle, and he basically talks about how when people are selling something, they talk about what they're selling, how it's going to help them, and then they maybe gloss over the why. Well, we are in the business of selling social studies. Really, call it what it is. We are trying to advocate for something that is dying. It is our job to lead the charge in all of this. And so here is what I challenge all of you to do today. When you are leading your teachers, don't ever forget why that you are doing it. Do the golden circle, in reverse. Don't talk about what, don't talk about how, begin with the why. Remind them of exactly why we are doing what it is that we are doing. And on the off chance that maybe any of you have forgotten exactly why you're doing it, because when you were in the classroom, you've got faces staring back at you to remind you every single day of what you need. In case you have forgotten, being in your office, go back to the sticky note that you wrote the name of a teacher, a school, a department, a course, anything. And don't ever forget why you are doing what you are doing. Thank you.